Did you know that Zurich, Switzerland has the largest church clock in all of Europe? Or that it has Europe's biggest techno street party? Or even a museum dedicated to nothing?
We love us some fun facts, but they're pretty useless for your trip planning purposes. We're sharing the basics of Zurich Travel 101, such as how to get here, how to snag discounts on sightseeing, what you need to know about the Zurich card, transportation in the city, things to do in Zurich, and more. And we're getting started with the most obvious question. Where is Zurich?
No, Zurich is not Switzerland's capital, but it is Switzerland's largest city with approximately 400,000 residents and nearly 500,000 overnight tourists each year. It sits on the northwestern tip of Lake Zürich in the northern part of Switzerland and is surrounded by forest and parks and even its own mountain.
There are 4 language regions in this tiny country, and Zurich is in the German-speaking part, which also means it's technically spelled with an umlaut or those 2 little dots over the U and pronounced as Zurich. Although there are a lot of variations depending on which language you speak. But most people here speak a local dialect of Swiss German, or Schweizerdeutsch. For example, to say hello in German is Hallo, but here in Zurich, you'll hear most people saying Grüezi. And of course, plenty of people speak English as well. And since this video is in English, we'll just be saying Zurich from here on out.
We're going to talk about the city in just a minute, but first, let's talk about how to get here. Zurich Airport is the largest airport in Switzerland, with as many as 110,000 passengers traveling to or from here every day. And many of you will be arriving here by plane too. Thankfully, once you land, it's super convenient to get to the train station since it's literally connected to the airport. Just follow the signs until you've reached the mini mall with shops and restaurants and grocery stores, and the station is on the lower level of this area. And from here, a 10-minute direct train ride takes you to the Zurich main station. By the way, it's helpful to note that the Zurich airport station is called Zurich Flughafen, and the Zurich main station in the city is called Zurich HB or Zurich Hauptbahnhof.
Speaking of Zurich Hauptbahnhof, welcome. You're standing in the #1 ranked train station in Europe and the largest train station in the country. I get the feeling that everything's bigger in Zurich. I wonder if it's bigger than Texas. You might be feeling a bit overwhelmed if your flight just landed, maybe you're even a little jet lagged, and you're unfamiliar with public transportation. So before we take another step into the city, let me point you to 3 specific resources available to help you. First, use our free Swiss Train Pass checklist to pick a Swiss Train Pass with confidence that saves you money and delivers convenience. Then, check out our ultimate guide to Swiss transportation to help you ride all forms of Swiss transportation like a pro. And third, we have an entire playlist of transportation videos to help you navigate Swiss trains, boats, buses, cable cars, and beyond, which we've conveniently linked for you in the description below. But you're here in the Zurich main station. Now what?
If you forgot your toothbrush, need to pick up some food, or want to buy a postcard to mail home to your mom, you can do it here. There are about 200 shops and restaurants and service providers in the main station. In fact, this is known as Shopville because it's open 365 days a year from early morning until late at night.
But if you're just here on a day trip or stopping to explore for a few hours, you'll be happy to hear that there are an abundance of luggage lockers in all different sizes that you can rent for the day. And thankfully, these accept cash and credit cards, but if you're in need of some Swiss francs, there are ATMs in the train station too.
Once you step outside of the train station, you are in the heart of the city center. And thankfully, Zurich is super walkable and easy to navigate considering only about half of the population owns a car. And now it's time to go explore. But what do you need to know about sightseeing in Zurich? There are multiple tram and bus stops directly outside the station, as well as a boat dock, which just so happens to be adjacent to the Swiss National Museum. You're also just a 2-minute walk from both the Limmat and Sill rivers, which run on either side of the station, and just a 5-minute walk from Zurich Old Town.
Most towns and cities in Switzerland offer a complimentary guest card to overnight guests, but unfortunately, Zurich is not one of them. But there's something available for purchase called the Zurich card. It's available for 24 or 72 hours and offers unlimited second-class travel on all forms of public transportation in the city of Zurich and surrounding region, as well as reduced or free admission to 20 museums and discounts on city tours and other tourist experiences. Some of the highlights include transport between the city center and the airport, a trip up to Uetliberg, the mountain of Zurich, short lake cruises, Limmat river cruises, and rides on a handful of city funiculars, as well as the Swiss National Museum and FIFA Museum, and a discounted entry to the Lindt Home of Chocolate. But what if you're not planning to visit any of the museums and just want the local transport coverage? Instead of the Zurich card, you might want to consider the Zurich 24-hour ticket. First, pick which city zones you'll be traveling in for the day. Then buy the 24-hour ticket, which allows you to hop on and off as many buses, trams, trains, boats, and funiculars as you'd like within the zones you chose. And what's unique is that it's truly a 24-hour ticket. So you could activate it at noon today and use it all the way until noon tomorrow. And you can quickly and easily buy a Zurich 24-hour ticket on the SBB mobile app. And if you'll take even just 2 rides on public transportation, then this is probably a good buy.
Prefer to see the city by bike? Check out Zurich Rolls, the free bicycle rental in the city. You can pick up a bike at any time, no reservations needed, from Europa Platz near the main train station for a 20 franc refundable deposit. Now, that only applies to regular bikes and kids' bikes. If you want an e-bike, that costs 30 francs and you need to book in advance, but that's still quite a reasonable price.
All of that walking and biking will probably make you thirsty. So thankfully, there are more than 1,200 fountains in the city, gushing with crystal clear drinking water. Now, we won't be showing you all 1,224 fountains because that would be a bit excessive. But here are the most popular ones. For example, the Münsterhof fountain next to the Fraumünster Church is where water turns to wine. And no, it's not a miracle as far as we know. There's a special tap on the side that can be converted to flow wine. Sechseleutenplatz in front of the Opera House is the largest natural stone square in Europe. Dip your toes in the refreshing water of Europuddle, a 5,000 square meter piazza in Europalais. Or watch the water spew up to 35 meters into the sky at Fountain Aquarium in Lake Zürich. And we all know that Switzerland has some of the cleanest drinking water in the world. And here, these fountains produce a refreshing cocktail blend of 70% lake water, 15% groundwater, and 15% spring water. And since Zurich is one of the cities with the most water fountains in the world, you will spy these all over town. Or you can find them all on the Zurich City Guide app, which we'll tell you more about in a moment.
So all that walking and biking in Zurich made you thirsty. So you rehydrated at one of the many fountains, and now you have to go to the bathroom. Well, bless your bladder, there are more than 100 public toilets in the busy areas of the city. They're often free or donation-based, but the ones that are staffed and handicap accessible cost 1 franc. There's even an interactive map to show you all of their locations and when they're open. But of course, you could also pop into one of our recommended cafes or bakeries to use the bathroom, but you'll have to learn more about those in our Zurich travel guide.
What else do you need to know about exploring the city of Zurich? Well, most stores are generally open from 9 a.m. to about 5 or 6 p.m. during the week, but they may close a bit earlier on Saturdays. And on Sundays and public holidays, the only shops you'll find open are generally in or near the big train stations. That's because there's actually a law in the canton of Zurich that restricts Sunday opening hours to preserve it as a day of rest. There are a handful of markets in various spots across the city from Monday to Saturday. They're typically open in the morning and closed before lunchtime, although a few of them are open into the evening too. And restaurants completely vary, but you'll find something open from breakfast to a late night snack pretty much every day of the week. For most of your sightseeing activities, you shouldn't have a problem on any day of the week except for Mondays, which is when many museums are closed. As always, double check the opening days and times before visiting. And from our experience, we do not trust our Maps app to give us accurate information, but instead go straight to the specific website so that we don't show up somewhere that's closed.
It's also interesting to mention that there are more than 70 parks throughout the city, so you're never very far from a green space. In fact, if you're looking to find a park or a market or really anything in Zurich, you will definitely want to know about the Zurich app. I wish every city had an app as helpful as this, since it's a one-stop shop to buy a Zurich card, transport tickets, museum tickets, city tours, or day trips. You can search popular spots and see a photo, a brief description, opening hours, prices, direct web links, and even navigation directions. You can favorite the restaurants you want to try and even make reservations in the apps. And there's an impressive map with handy filters like things that are free with the Zurich card or what's open today. We are not sponsored by Zurich Tourism to say any of this. We just genuinely found it to be so helpful and wanted you to know about it too. In fact, if this info has been helpful to you, would you hit that like button so that other people looking to travel Switzerland with confidence can find this video too.
Most of you are probably spending just one day in Zurich or maybe a few days before heading somewhere else in Switzerland. And thankfully, it's super easy to just hop on a train from Zurich and go to any of the most popular destinations. It's just 3 hours and 20 minutes to Zermatt, 3 hours to Geneva on a direct train, 2 hours to Interlaken with a handful of direct trains daily, a 1 hour direct train to Basel, and 45 minutes direct to Lucerne.
Hopefully your Swiss itinerary includes at least a few of these spots. But before you leave the city, you might be wondering what else to do in Zurich while you're here, such as a tour and tasting at one of Switzerland's most famous chocolate factories, secret alleys in the heart of Old Town that make you feel like you've left the tourist trail behind, endless fountains and parks and squares sprinkled throughout the city, boat rides and river cruises to complete every itinerary, and the best viewpoints overlooking Zurich's cityscape. If you want to add these spots to your Zurich itinerary, then be sure to check out our Zurich travel guide or watch this one and done video next to learn about the top attractions in Zurich, and we'll see you in Switzerland.